Hey, it's Nikki, and welcome to our Educators Can live chat. I am here, well, I was here with Kath Horsler from Simple Reflect. So we are just having some technical issues. Kathy, she's meant to be like here, but she'll be here in a minute. So she'll come back and join us. So tonight we're talking all things about, we're talking about programming, we're talking about what the first step is when you are thinking about starting family daycare, as well as we've got a question about what to do if your scheme aren't giving you the answers. So I'm going to get started, and Kath can join in as soon as she's on. So let me just bring this first question up. So our questions. So through, and Kath's is Simple Reflect. So if you're following our pages, you can actually come and leave a comment below the video, or you can send us a private message and we will answer your questions in our Educators Can chat every Wednesday night at 7:30. So tonight our first question is, I think Kath might be back. Hello.
Am I back?
Yay, you are back.
I could hear and I could see, but it just wasn't showing me. So I am here. Hi, everyone.
Excellent. Well, you haven't missed out on much, so.
Okay.
So our very first question for tonight is, what's the first thing you should do to start your family daycare? Now, this is a question, that does come up a fair bit, especially since that. And I'm actually going to hand that over to Kath to answer, because I'd love to hear what your opinion is with what the first thing should be when they start their own family daycare. But before you answer that, I just wanted to let everyone know that below this video, you'll be able to see the like and share buttons. So if you feel like there's people, some friends that you know or colleagues that you know who might be interested in this video, be sure to click on those and share it around so other people can get. Some of these questions are quite common questions, and it's not easy to find the answers all the time. So I'd love for you to share this video or leave a comment below. Don't forget, you can comment if you're watching us live, or if you're watching the recording, you can comment below and leave your questions. And if we catch them during the live segment, then we will answer them. But if you put them while you're watching the recording, then we'll always jump back in and answer those questions during the week anyway. So, Kath, what would your piece of advice be as one of the first things you should do when starting family daycare?
So just clarifying, when you're thinking about starting a family daycare, so you haven't put all the things in place yet, when you're thinking about starting a family daycare, do some research.
So this question... Yes, yeah.
Look at your area that you live in. Look at Care for Kids, ring the centres, ring other educators that you know, talk to preschools, all of those sorts of early childhood nurses, the people at your chemist. Talk to them about whether childcare is needed in your area. So I think that's one of the first things before we get super excited and super planning and looking at what we can offer and how we can offer it. Do just a little bit of research on what area you actually live in, and whether, from doing that research, hopefully you'll be able to work out, okay, well, yes, maybe childcare is absolutely flooded from 8 to 5, but there's no one doing 7 to 6, or there's no one doing in my area. A lot of the centres start at 7, and we have shift workers that need to be at work at 6. They were stuck. So by putting out that I was going to start my family daycare, I was going to start at 6, I was chock-a-block right from the start. And that was just from a little bit of research, just working out what was actually, if I had have just the same as everyone else started my daycare from 8 till 4, I probably would have taken a long time to fill. I have centres within about 4 kilometres of me, 5 kilometres of me, and they're not full. But they're 7 till 6, at the 7 till 6, whereas I was open from 6 a.m. So I was instantly full. Do your research about, one, whether childcare is actually needed in your area. But 2, if you're like, well, I'm going to do this anyway, but I need to work out what my niche will be. What will be something special that I can offer that isn't being offered, that is in demand? So I think your very first thing is research. Can I give you a second thing? If you've got a partner, talk to your hubby. Yeah. That would be my second thing. So seriously, like, that would be something that comes up a lot. Partners just don't understand what is required and needed, and the pressures on families. They need to understand, and they really do. You need them on board. You really do. Yeah. And if they're like, no, I don't think you should do this. You know, a lot of educators say, oh, we'll do it for 6 months and see. You know what? I don't know about that. Make sure your partners are on board before you go ahead with a family daycare. That would be my number 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I think you know, you are taking over your entire home, and, you know, you're trying to coordinate a lot of, you know, people coming in and out, so they need to be really comfortable with that as well. And then because of that workout, you know, your opening hours, how is that going to work with your own children? Like, if they're home with you, or are they at school, or they, you know, have to get to sporting activities and things like that, having your partner on board, or having other family members and friends that could potentially support you in you know, coordinating all of that, is something you want to really think about. Now, don't forget, you can leave comments below. So if you have a comment, if you want to add anything to the discussion, please leave the comments below. And we love it. We love hearing people's questions as well.
What was something, my question for the viewers would be, what was something that you wish you looked into before you started? Mm-hmm. That would probably be, you know, a really helpful question to answer for others to read. What was something that you wish you understood better, or that you looked into before you started?
Yeah, and I think when you talk about research, you know, there's a lot of other things that you can add into that when you are researching, like, what are people charging per hour? You know, are they open during the Christmas break?
Great one. Yeah.
Are they school an option? Are there some good schemes in your area that you would like to kind of go with? Now, when it comes to looking at schemes, I recommend you actually speak to some of the educators who are already registered with that scheme. I didn't do that. So for me, that's something I wish I did. I just spoke to the scheme directly. I spoke to the scheme directly, had all my questions. They were brilliant at selling me into it. But once I started going there and we started meeting up with other educators in the scheme, there were some playgroups that I was attending, I just found that, you know, a lot of people were not happy. And so that was, if I had have spoken to those educators first, I would have gone to a different scheme straight up. But I thought, you know, there was a lot of support there from my new scheme. But, you know, it's not something you want to be doing too early on in the mark. So researching from different angles, like talking to educators, talking to families, talking to schemes, talking to centres, and finding out what is really what is actually happening out there. And one thing I did notice is that some new educators were coming in, they'd done so much research. Like, they had researched everything. and they put their prices comparing to others who had been in the sector for a long time, and they were pricing themselves too high, and then others are pricing themselves too low. And so when I was speaking to them, like, they were like, oh, I've done this, and I'm like, you know what? You've done your research, you've made the best decision you could. You can make some changes. If you find that your pricing is too high, drop it. If you're finding your pricing is too low, slowly increase it, you know. And so there's things like, once you actually get your business up and running, it's just like, it's easier to you know, steer a moving car than to try and steer a parked car. You know what I mean? Yes. So you want to, like, once you start running your business, it's easier to kind of change a little bit of direction. Maybe your focus isn't completely there, whatever it is. Like, you can start to make those changes as you go, but you don't have to get it spot on first time you open the doors. But yeah, you can, you know, I don't want you to be researching and then you just don't open at all.
Yeah. And I think educators put a lot of pressure on themselves to get it right from the start. And as you said, it's, you know, you can tweak it as you go. That's what's so wonderful about having your own business, is that it is okay to change as you go.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Let's do this question. I actually got, someone had messaged me just asking about, in one of my online courses, I talk about the mind mapping technique for programming, which is, I kind of guide people through that process, because for me, I like to be pen and paper, but I also talk about using an app as well for the actual observations and things like that, because I prefer to type when, you know, there's a lot of stuff I want to put in there. So I got this question saying, well, do you prefer to use pen and paper, or do you prefer to use an app for programming? So I would love to hear your perspective of why, like, is there a place for using pen and paper? Is there a place for using an app?
Absolutely, Nikki. Oh, you're frozen again. Oh no, there we go. I love this question. I say to educators, think about if you were going to write a letter to someone. Will you sit down and will you still really, a heartfelt letter, will you write it by pen and paper, or will you hop on and do an email? What are you most comfortable with at the moment? There is no wrong or right for this one. It really isn't. It's got to suit you. It really does. And we've just actually finished the programming boot camp, where we did a bit of both as well. We did lots of programming out on a big A3 sheet of paper, and really looking at writing it out so you can see it all on one page. But then, of course, for my observations, I use Simple Reflect. Like, I love the program. I love to have it all of the children's files all in one app that's in one file. Like, I really like having it all together like that. But I mind map a lot as well. And I don't know, I've probably got maybe 10 different ways that I actually program through the year. Like, at different times of the year, you can do different things. Don't get yourself so set in the notion that I have to do it this way. If you're bored with it, if you're not happy with it, if you're ready for a change it. You might just change it for this month. So what I popped out a challenge a while ago for just that single month, mind map the the vision or the things that one single child does. So your observation was actually a mind map on a single child, and do it for all of your children for that month. So it was trying to get something very individualized, but doing something very different and actually changing it up. So at the end of the month, you can go, okay, well, I really enjoyed that month. I'm going to do another one. Or you can go, well, I'm really glad that I've got this documentation of the child's journey through this month, but I think that was enough. I'm going to go back to whatever I was doing. It's okay to change it, like change it up, make it interesting. Don't get bored with it, because once you get bored with it, you procrastinate with it, and then you don't want to do it. So keep it interesting for you, and your families will also, you know, they will get a little bit more involved as well with your programming if they're interested. Oh, how did she do it this month? What's she got to show me this month about my child? Like, make it a little bit more interesting for yourself, and your families might be a little bit more interested in reading and looking at the different things you're doing for them as well. Doesn't have to, you don't have to choose one way at the start of the year and do it for the whole year. Like, that's just not what it's all about. It really isn't. I think as educators, we get this, we want to have a way that works. And so once something works a little bit, we cling on to it and we keep doing it and we keep doing it. And it's like, oh, okay. And then you get to a point where you're bored and it's not working for you anymore. And it's like, oh no, I have to find a new system. Experiment, like, make it fun. Programming can be fun. It really can. I know people go, oh no, Kath.
I like how you're saying, you know, mix it up, try it a little bit differently and all of that kind of thing. Like, I think that's a great a great way to actually just make it a little bit more interesting for you as well. And you can also find out then what parents are enjoying, like how do they enjoy to kind of read it. I found my parents quite liked how I did the mind mapping at the sign-in area. That was our weekly kind of overview. Parents really loved.
Yeah, I find I get.
So for me,
definitely the two definite ways that I get really good engagement with my parents is the mind map sitting on the sign out table, and emailing observations with follow-up ideas or actual, conversations that the children have had between each other, putting the actual children's words into those observations, but then also including follow-up ideas along the bottom of an observation, and then emailing that off to a parent so that they can look at it in their own time. I find that I get the most feedback with both of those.
Yeah.
And feedback from our parents is really important.
Yeah, it is. And even like, so what I did as well is when I was doing the brainstorming, I would do that on paper and then I would put it at the sign-in area, but I'd also take a photo of that and that would go in because I use the app to send it to parents as well. So that was just part of my kind of daily communication. So that was really easy to kind of, I just take a photo of it at the end of the day. Or actually, no, it was usually so you can pay as you go, even just listening to us, talking to other educators, staff meetings, any other kind of online training, you'll learn different ways to do things as you go. It's fun to kind of incorporate those elements in as well. Now, I wanted to get... okay, so let me just move this one over here. Okay, So our last question for the night so far, like if you have any more questions, please leave them in the comments below, or you can send us a private message and we can add them to next week's show. This question is, what to do if you aren't getting answers from your scheme? Now, this question came from someone who private messaged me and said that they had been trying to contact their scheme, but this particular person had only recently signed up and they were just trying to get more information out of the scheme, but they weren't getting any more information. They didn't really know application. They just didn't know what to do now. And so, you know, sometimes schemes are good to get you in, but it's in their best interest to really support you and really help you build your business. So if you're finding that they aren't answering you, to go to a new scheme isn't as difficult as you would think, but it can be, I just find it's time consuming, and I really do advocate that it's the last resort. So what I recommended to this person was that they again tried to phone the scheme again, email as many different people in the scheme that you could find, social media, like really try and get in touch with them. Like a phone call and they never answered is not like, that's not the only thing that you should be complaining about, because sometimes it just happens. Even I am terrible, and Kath knows this, so I don't always reply to messages because I answer in my head, but then it just doesn't happen.
I think we're all the same. Absolutely, I'm the same.
Yeah, it's terrible.
We just do.
And same with sometimes I'll read a message, question or whatever, and I completely ends up in the vortex of whatever I was doing. So I recommend that you actively try and get in touch with them. And then I'd also recommend that if they're a branch of a scheme, so perhaps they're a national scheme and you've just been in touch with a particular local branch, then try and get in touch with that next level up. If they're not, if that's the highest that you can go, and you've tried every avenue of communication that you can try, then, that's going to be quite difficult. Like I would say, if you haven't, like for this particular person, hadn't fully completed their registration, I would then look at going to a different scheme. If you're finding it that difficult to get in contact with them in the first place, I would definitely, if you haven't completely finished the registration, I would definitely look at another scheme. If that is their kind of, behavior or the way that they're going to communicate with you now, it's a sign of things to come. So generally, I think with that amount of attempts of communicate, I haven't heard of a scheme not responding to that level of attempts. And also, if, don't for one day and think that they haven't answered, there can be many reasons why people do this. So if it's an absolute emergency, then there's actually there's no excuse that a scheme hasn't answered. So does your scheme have like an emergency number, like a mobile that you can contact at any point?
Yeah.
Do they have that?
Yeah, absolutely, we do. And you know what? There's circumstances where you absolutely 100% need to ring that number and have someone on the end of the line. Like we've had several educators that have had car crashes, or a member of their family die. Like there's some serious things with families. We have serious things happen to us as educators, and also hopefully not, but things happen to children in care that needs ambulances called, police called, the scheme needs to be contactable at all times. And if your scheme isn't contactable at all times, you really need to be asking some serious questions and asking, is that the sort of support you need? On another token, but and my initial, when you said that, my initial thought was our scheme actually buddies up our educators. So one of the very first things we do with new educators when they come on board is they are buddied up with an experienced educator. So if there is something that they just want an opinion on, or if they just need clarification and they know the office is quite busy that day, then they can ring their buddy. And that is just there for support and for answers when it's not an emergency. So to me, if you are a new wanting to start your own family daycare and you are looking at schemes, that is one thing I would actually ask about. Do you have a buddy system? Will I be buddied up with an experienced educator? Because I think that makes a huge difference in a scheme to the actual understanding of how much support needs to be offered for new educators.
Yeah, because, you know, new educators generally, if you are having just completed or you're still studying a Certificate 3, you know, from my experience, that is not a lot of understanding of how most things are working. So just a general experience of, okay, I've got one child, I have to change their nappy. What do I do with the other 3? Like, that is just some general kind of logistical facts. So having an experienced educator to just be on the phone to answer questions, to talk to as soon as you started, before you've even opened, perhaps to go and visit if that's a possibility, if they're local. So having that kind of buddy system is brilliant. You know, I think more schemes should be doing that. I've not been part of a scheme that has done that. But I mean, I haven't needed that because I came into family daycare after having a lot of teaching experience. But, you know, I think there's many educators out there who have perhaps come into family daycare or the childcare industry as a whole from another industry. And so this is all completely new. And then there's the other side of it, the whole business side of it. So, organizing invoicing, and there would be training on this, but just some basic things. Obviously, what can I, how do I work this? Do I need to have a business account? Like, all of these kinds of little questions that you just need someone who's in the same situation to chat to. And that's why we created this, like, Educators Can Chat every Wednesday night, because not everyone has that. Not everyone has that buddy system in place. Not everyone's got a scheme coordinator that they can just call and talk to, and not everyone's got a supportive scheme. So having this kind of discussion every week is something that we've really wanted for educators, because we know that it can be isolating, and we know that there's a lot of these types of questions that you have, but where on earth would you find the answers to if you didn't have someone you could trust that you could just call up? So that's why we're here, and that's why, you know, we do get a lot of questions by private message, because some people don't want to post their question publicly, which is understandable. Sometimes it's a question, thinking this. Do you know what? Most of the time we get the same questions a lot. So a lot of people are thinking it, but aren't just wanting to say it in that kind of public forum. Oh, we've just had Marilyn join us. Hello, Marilyn.
Hi, Marilyn. How are you?
So, yeah, that's why we really are advocates for bringing educators together and creating a supportive environment that you can feel like you can just talk to us, just come and ask us questions. And between Kath and I, if we don't know the answer, we're always willing and able to go and find the answers for you. Like that.
Find it. Yeah, absolutely.
That's what we love to do. So if you have any questions and you're watching the recording, please post them below or send us a message. We'd love to answer them for you. We don't have any other questions tonight, Kath. Did you want to add anything else?
Right. I think those questions are answered. I'd love to know if you're part of a scheme that does offer a buddy system, or if that's something that you would like to talk to your scheme about and suggest and ask, you know, how what sort of support around a buddy system that are they offering that? Are they interested in offering that?
Yeah, I think that's a great. So please pop that in the comments. So if you have a system already, or if you have something different, you know, is there a different kind of system that your scheme does offer? We'd love to hear it, because I know that there are some schemes out there. I know there's scheme coordinators out there listening to this, looking for ideas, and I know that they're going to understand what the real struggles are with their educators and how they can support them. So if your scheme is doing something amazing about supporting educators, let us know. We'd love to give them a shout out as well. Yeah, we're always about celebrating great schemes, because there are a lot out there. They're doing an amazing job, and educators are very happy. So we want to shout out to any great schemes that are doing their best to support their educators. That would be great. So leave them in the comments. And next week, we're going to be over on Kath's page, over on Simple Reflect. And I will be sharing the link on this page as well, so you won't miss it. Same time, same place, 7:30 on Wednesday, online. Don't even have to get out of your pajamas. Actually, I'm already in my pajamas. I actually revealed that to Kath the other week. I am in my pajamas. I have this black jacket. I have this on my chair, so whenever I'm going on video, I just put this over my pajamas. I've got my cool. my fluoro green jammy pants on, and you can't even tell I look super professional.
She does.
So yes, well, my kid doesn't start till 7:30, so I'm already showered. I'm like, I'm not gonna, it's too much work. So the jacket always saves the day.
So good. I just love it. Oh dear.
So I hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'm looking forward to chatting again next week, Kat.
Yeah, me too. I do like our Wednesday nights.
Pretty fun, pretty special.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks. All right, we will see you all next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.